Level 1, the recruit. You're 20. You grew up in a town where the biggest plant shut down before you were old enough to work there. You don't have college money, you don't have much of a plan. A Navy recruiter plays you a video in a strip mall office and something in your chest moves. Men descending from helicopters into black water. Men crawling through mud at 2 a.m. Men who chose this. You sign before you think too hard about it. Boot camp is 8 weeks at Great Lakes. You make your rack at 4 a.m., you run in formation, you do what you're told immediately and without comment. It's the hardest thing you've done in your life. It won't be in the top 10 for long. You put in your BUD/S package, Basic Underwater Demolition/SEAL Training, Coronado, California. The petty officer who processes your paperwork tells you the attrition rate is above 75%. You nod. You've heard that number. You don't fully believe it yet. You fly west and report in. Your class has 170 candidates. You're one of them for now. Level 2, the candidate. Training starts before sunrise on day 1 and doesn't really stop. The first weeks are pure conditioning, running in boots on soft sand, log PT, surf torture, where you link arms with your boat crew and wade into the Pacific until the instructors decide you've been in long enough, which is always longer than you think you can stand. The water is 60 degrees. Your body stops being warm. Your mind starts working against you. There's a bell near the compound entrance. Ring it 3 times and you're done. Hot coffee, dry clothes, home. 45 men in your class ring it before Hell Week even starts. Hell Week is 5.5 days. 4 hours of sleep across the entire stretch. You run over 200 miles. You are wet for almost all of it. The instructors aren't trying to break you. They're trying to find where you break on your own. Most people have that point somewhere. It's almost never physical. It's the moment the brain decides it's finished and convinces the body to agree. Wednesday night, running on the beach in the dark at 3 a.m., you hit that moment. You can feel something let go inside you. You keep running anyway. You're not sure why. The instructors watching from the truck know why. Your class finishes Hell Week with 54 men. Dive phase and land warfare remove a few more, mostly over academics and weapons safety. Then SEAL qualification training, parachute school. And one morning, a senior enlisted man pins the trident on your chest, an eagle clutching an anchor, a trident, a pistol. Everyone calls it the Budweiser. You've earned the right to wear it. You report to SEAL Team 3 in Coronado. You are the most junior man in the building. You know this. Everyone else does too. Level 3, the operator. You're 22. You're in Ramadi, Iraq, and the city is at war with everyone, including you. Your platoon runs direct action missions at night. You clear rooms. You pull security on rooftops for hours in 110-degree heat, waiting for a vehicle that may or may not come. You learn things the training pipeline doesn't cover. You learn how silence feels different inside a building than outside one. You learn to watch hands before faces. Your platoon chief is 34 and has been on 6 deployments. He never raises his voice. He never says the same thing twice. He is the most competent person you've been near in your life. You try to figure out how he became that. You come home, 6 months stateside. You go back. Deployment 2, then 3. Something shifts each time. You read situations faster. You carry fear differently, or you carry something else instead, something quieter and heavier. You buy a truck. You stop going to the bars you used to go to. Friends from home ask about the deployments and you give them the version that doesn't require explanation. You're 26 now. You've been inside more dark buildings than you can count. Level 4, the sniper. You apply for SEAL Sniper course. 6 months, split between Coronado and Virginia Beach. The first half is technical, wind reading, range estimation, ballistic math, how a bullet behaves as the atmosphere changes around it. You shoot thousands of rounds until settling behind the rifle feels like something your body does without instruction. The second half is concealment, stalking exercises where you crawl 600 yards across open ground while an instructor with binoculars tries to spot you. If they find you, you fail. You don't get found. You go back to your team with a different rifle and a different role. Sniper means you move first. You're in position before the assault element leaves the staging point. You watch the objective for hours. You make the call on what's safe and what isn't. If something appears in your sector that shouldn't be there, you decide what happens to it. 3 more deployments, Afghanistan now. The mountains change the math. Thinner air, longer distances, steep angles that require calculations the flat terrain of Iraq never asked for. You adapt, you don't miss. Level 5, the chief. You're 31. You've made chief petty officer. You're running the platoon now. 16 men, and they are your responsibility in a way you couldn't have understood from the other side. Your job is no longer to be the best operator in the building. Your job is to put the right operators in the right places before a single boot hits the target. You read intelligence for hours. You build the operations. You coordinate with the lieutenant and the task unit commander. You brief, you adjust, you brief again. When something goes sideways in the field, and something always does, you fix it. Not by calling up the chain. Right there, right then. You've been in long enough that the adjustment arrives before the panic does. Your right shoulder has a partial tear you've declined to have repaired, because surgical repair means 3 months off the line. You don't take 3 months off the line. You put in for the next deployment. Level 6, the selection. Someone forwards your file to Dam Neck, Virginia, DEVGRU, the Naval Special Warfare Development Group, the name no one uses. Everyone calls it SEAL Team 6. You've known men who went through selection. Some of them came back different, quieter, in a specific way. You show up, and there are 20 other men in the room, all chiefs or senior first-class petty officers, all with multiple combat deployments. All of them are what a regular SEAL team looks like at the top. 3 days of physical testing, a panel interview, questions that don't have right answers, which is the point. Then green team, if they want you. 6 months at the kill house, close quarters battle, hostage rescue scenarios, breaching, fast rope, live fire exercises where the margins are real. Every day is an evaluation. The instructors aren't watching your technique alone. They're watching how you function when the brief doesn't match the scenario, when the person next to you makes an error under pressure. 12 men go through green team. 7 finish, you finish. You're assigned to Red Squadron. You tell nobody, which is exactly what they expect. Level 7, The Shot, April 12, 2009. You're on the stern of the USS Bainbridge, a guided missile destroyer sitting in the Indian Ocean off the Somali coast. The air smells like salt and diesel exhaust. Behind the ship, towed on a line, is an orange fiberglass lifeboat about 28 feet long. Inside it is Richard Phillips, captain of the container ship Maersk, Alabama. 4 days ago, Somali pirates boarded the Alabama in international waters. The crew fought back, recaptured the ship, and detained one pirate. Phillips offered himself as a hostage in exchange for his crew. He got into the lifeboat with the remaining pirates. They kept him and motored towards Somalia. The Bainbridge intercepted them. Negotiators have been at this for days. The pirate who came aboard to talk is now in custody. 3 remain in the lifeboat with Phillips. They're armed, exhausted, and losing their nerve. That's when people get dangerous. You and 2 other snipers have been watching that lifeboat for hours. The targets shift positions constantly. They appear in the small porthole openings and move away. The lifeboat rolls on the swells. The Bainbridge rolls on a different rhythm. You're accounting for both without thinking about it. Authorization exists to fire if Phillips's life is in immediate danger. The FBI negotiators on board are still working the phone, but the situation is narrowing. One of the pirates raises his AK-47 and points it at Phillips. That's the call. All 3 of you fire at the same instant. 3 shots. 3 pirates. It's over before the sound finishes traveling across the water. Phillips walks out of that lifeboat unharmed. By morning, it's on every news channel in the world. The president makes a statement. The Navy makes a statement. The names of the men who fired are not released. That's how this works. Level 8, the legacy. You fly home and go back to work. There's no ceremony, no public acknowledgement. You debrief the mission, you write the report. A few weeks later, you're somewhere else doing something else that also won't have your name on it. The Phillips story runs in the news for months. There's a book, eventually a movie. The names stay classified, so somewhere a kid is watching a film about a ship captain rescued from pirates, and all he sees is the outcome. A man held at gunpoint in a lifeboat. 3 shots. Freedom. He doesn't see the decade inside that second. He doesn't know what 9 years of selection and deployment and failure and adaptation look like compressed into a single trigger pull from a moving deck in low light. He just sees a man walk out of a boat alive. He's 19. He walks into a recruiting office. A recruiter plays him a video. Something moves in his chest. He signs.